Don't try to strike everybody out. Strikeouts are boring. Besides that, they're fascist. Throw some ground ball. More democratic.
This guy. So great. How come he's been in the minors for 10 years? He's so hot. How come Annie wants me instead of him?
Oh, hey. And another thing, Nate. You don't know shit. All right? If you want to make it to the show, you'll listen to me. Annie only wants you because she can boss you around. Got it?
Name the movie, Dan.
Bull Durham.
Yes. Oh, okay. I got one for you.
Yeah. I just saw it. It's wait, where's the connection here? Fascism? Come on.
Yeah, it's exactly fascism.
That's it. No other connection. Nothing deeper.
Well, because I think the dynamic of Kevin Costner and his players in Bull Durham feels similar to whenever you and I talk politics, specifically centering around fascism and socialism.
Oh, which is why this episode's going to be fantastic.
Exactly.
Hey, folks, this is Film Trace. This is a podcast where we trace the life of a film from conception to production, all the way to release and reception. We are continuing the Rise of A24 season. It is episode 7 in this season. We're doing Green Room from 2016 and one of its predecessors, Straw Dogs from 1971, the infamous film. We have a special guest, Chris. He's your friend. Go ahead and give him an introduction.
Yeah, well, he's your friend now too, Dan, so deal with it. David, thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you. I'd like to think I'm neither of your friends.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I know David from playing music together, and I was like, well, you know what? He also, I think, likes movies. Might not like good ones, but he... he's an old friend, and I wanted to also give you a chance to get in on the conversation about a movie that very much has much to do with music and one of the movies that inspired it. But David, what do you want to share about yourself?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having me on, guys. I've been a big fan of the pod ever since I learned it existed, which is when Chris asked if I wanted to be on it. So clearly you're doing a great job with marketing.
Yeah, it's our strong suit.
I'm a comedian and musician. I live in Chicago. I performed on stages at the Second City and I.O. I play in a Chicago band called Humdrum. I have my own little sort of on-ice musical project called Billy Sunday. And most germane to this conversation, I was the bass player in a great Minneapolis instrumental post-rock band called Paragraphs, which features one Chris Pauli on lead guitars.
Yeah. That was good times. We played 2 shows together, I think. That's right.
Yeah, and the audience said, "Get him out of here."
Yeah, no, and they meant literally out of the city, not the
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be so fun. Green Room. This has been a long kind of brewing feud between Dan and I since it originally came out in 2016. But since David, you're our guest, before we get into our baggage, what's your history with this movie? Had you seen it back when it came out? Was this a rewatch or a brand new watch for you when we invited you onto the pod?
Dude, I'm so interested to hear what the sides are, because I think I'm going to fall on one side that will not make you happy, Chris.
Hopefully. We don't know yet.
Yeah. So Green Room is definitely a movie I saw when it came out. I remember it had a bunch of buzz. I cannot imagine I saw it in theaters, because I don't know where it would have played. It's also a film that I would have seen during the height of my piracy days. So I'm guessing I tore into this film and just watched it on my laptop in my apartment.
Whoop! Book 'em, guys.
Yeah. Take that, independent film. So this was a rewatch for me. I've seen it a few times. It's one that I come back to kind of because I don't know how much you want me to get into it, but I always want to like it more than I do. So whenever I revisit it, it's out of curiosity. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Dan, reveal the sides.
I mean, okay. I don't even know how to begin with this, because it came out, 2016, right? So yep. I was living alone in Nashville. I basically had no friends. And all I did was work for this company and watch movies and watch TV. So I was consuming a lot And I went to go. I think I saw this in the theater.
Oh yeah.
And wow, I did not like it. I was a huge A24 fan, thinking, it's going to be good. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a thriller. It's going to be arty, like an arty horror film is kind of how it came across in the marketing. And what I got was a pretty straightforward, violent. I wouldn't call it political because it's not really political. Just survival thriller, siege thriller. That, I don't know. It just did not. I think the thing for me was that I love the first 30 minutes of this movie. And when I go back and rewatch, kind of a very similar situation. But then the moment things start to get violent and fall apart, it just totally loses me. And yeah, so I think, on the rewatch, my feelings are a little bit different, but I think there's still that pattern there to some degree.
Yeah.
You said also have baggage with this director.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So Jeremy Saulnier.
Jeremy Saulnier. I want to say I saw Blue Ruin. That came out before this, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I tried to watch it multiple times, actually. And every time I try to dive into it, I cannot connect with his style, unfortunately. So I've always wondered, Chris, because we've never sat down and had a conversation about this. What is it about Green Room and Jeremy that, specifically with this film, that, I don't know, you love, you connect with? What is it that sticks out to you?
So it's interesting. This is one of those movies where I've seen it 4 or 5 times now, and every time I watch it, I'm like, how does everyone not love this movie? Why is it? Yeah. It feels so like universal acclaim worthy to me that I'm also kind of rewatching, thinking like, what doesn't hook people? What doesn't hit for people? And I think that when it comes down to is I love economical storytelling. I love trying to infuse any kind of politics with like a genre thriller, and I love music and punk rock, and so it just feels like a no-brainer. Now I get why that seems like it could easily fall apart, because it's all the esoteric things rolled into one for the perhaps average moviegoer, but also for like pretentious dorks like us. But I still can't pinpoint like the individual elements that don't work, because like the casting feels phenomenal here, just like it does again in Rebel Ridge, which I don't like as much, but was also really enamored by, though I've only watched it once. And then the suspense and use of geography and the just like clever like throwaways that build on rewatch, like the punk who says he's got to go because he needs to vacuum his apartment, and then at the end of the movie, when we hear the report of what happened, he's vacuuming his apartment. Just like all these little details that feel so like lived in and carefully manicured, to the point of like, I think the first 30 minutes are awesome, but I think every scene of this movie just feels so beautifully put together, and to the point where like, I don't know. I also don't have like a lot of I don't have a lot of movies that have to do with music that do that for me. Mm-hmm. Like maybe Sid and Nancy by Alex Cox. I love that, but that's also a very different punk rock movie. But otherwise, like a lot of especially punk rock movies, like I've never been a huge fan of SLC Punk. I've never been a huge like a very different music movie, but like Josie and the Pussycats, I know that's got like a cult status.
What about That Thing You Do, which is one of my favorites.
Okay, there you go. There's maybe some common ground.
Yeah, Detroit Rock City, baby.
Mm-hmm. But here we go. Now we're throwing them out there. I mean, isn't that the major draw of this movie? That like, even let's throw out the story of it and like the violent part, because we'll get into that later. The hook here is music.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and like if you're into punk music or any sort of like stuff like this, like it's definitely going to grab you, because you're right. There's not a lot of movies about that scene per se. And if there are movies about it, they're usually like super small indie or documentaries or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see that whole world and scene put on, but it's also sort of played counter to this neo-Nazi scene that obviously the movie takes place in, and the clash between punks and fascist punks. Although I will say, and this is true of this scene because I think Jeremy kind of grew up in the scene in the DC area, and they had a very vibrant scene on both sides.
Right.
You know, it's like there is a weird sort of horseshoe thing going on.
Yes.
Where it's like the far left punks, you know, anti-authoritarian and all that sort of stuff.
That's a great line in the movie. Is like, oh yeah, they're super right wing. Well, ultra left technically, right?
yeah. But it like it becomes like these little gradients of radicalism, which really don't mean anything. They're so far outside the norm. So that's something that's super engaging about it. I mean, from a music perspective, and maybe David, you can talk about this. Like, did it feel pretty authentic to you, like what they're representing in those scenes, or did it seem kind of like made up?
Good question. I struggle with that with representation of punk stuff in media.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you all are fans of the band Fucked Up or listen to the podcast Turned Out a Punk, but the opening question that Pink Eyes always asks in that is, God, I'm sorry. I have such bad podcast etiquette. I was just cracking my knuckles actively on mic. That'll be great for people.
No, again, it adds to the vibe.
Some flavor, yeah.
No, but he'll ask, like, how did you first get into punk music? And I feel like for people closer to our age, it already was something that was like commodified and put like to be consumed or made fun of. Like probably the first time I heard of punk was on The Simpsons or something, like I thought existed in the 70s in London and it was done. So I don't know, like, I also this year was reading the book American Hardcore by Stephen Blush, I think. And it is interesting that, I don't know, like I certainly have not experienced anything outside of just like really crusty dudes. And a lot of my friends that like Chris would know from Minneapolis who played in punk bands or went to punk shows, some of them like tried to walk the walk a little bit, but we certainly were not running into skitheads regularly, nor were we meeting people who were like ashamed to be into like Simon and Garfunkel or something like that. So it felt a little pastiche or like broad caricatures, but maybe it's just because, I didn't grow up outside of DC worshiping Ian MacKaye or something. How about you all? Did you grow up like going to punk shows, and did this seem reasonably authentic?
Chris, you go ahead.
Well, Dan and I think, were of a similar kind of common, but definitely not authentically punk background, where like we would go to shows in Milwaukee. We lived in the suburbs, but like, Dan, you wore khakis and I wore striped sweaters. So,
we were like, I would say the mentality was punk, but we certainly were not. We were emo. Emo was what was.
We were all about rebelling against society and getting straight A's.
Yeah, but from a music perspective, what was going on around us was all emo. Midwestern emo. It was house shows and like,
which was adjacent, but there definitely felt like a distinct line in the sand.
Certainly a subculture though. Like, it was its own subculture doing its own thing. I don't know that I ever came across anybody that I would label as punk at all. Like either where we grew
in your
up.
Entire life.
No, honestly, like until I went to grad school in Richmond, Virginia, I don't know that I knew anybody that I would consider.
There's got to be some skinhead down there, right?
No.
Am I being broad caricaturish now?
Yeah. So like, okay, so in Richmond, I went to VCU for grad school. It's 2 hours south of DC, so all the DC stuff came down there. So there was actually a huge punk scene at VCU that was kind of dying out when I got there. This would have been like 2006. But still, like, you could hear this. I had like people that lived there tell me stories about Nancy Reagan and this venue or that venue, and there were tons of house shows. But even then, I would say that it was more like the scene that was active there was more like what's the thing? The Lumineers stomp clap.
Yeah, stomp clap pop. Yeah,
it was more like dumpster divers playing that music, and that was considered punk. And like, so I don't know. This whole world that they're in right now is very foreign to me. Very, very foreign.
Yeah,
in Green Room, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't really understand it. Don't really have any background.
Maybe that's part of the allure for me. Is like it at once feels authentic from the second that you see the Fugazi sticker on their van, to also feeling like outsiderish enough that it feels like a fantasy, which I think only for me kind of enhances the effect that the movie's ultraviolence and stylization has. It feels like a neat and tidy bow around something that allegedly exists but is very unseen in even the media's eye. And so I guess that was novel enough and remains novel enough that when I come back to it, I'm just like, oh, yeah, this is a scary little world. But I guess I could see it happening outside of Portland, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, I lived out there, and
yeah, you lived in Portland too. I mean,
yeah, there's definitely some nooks and crannies to that area where,
sure.
I mean, the punk scene, yeah, the punk stuff and the neo-Nazi stuff feels way more authentic to that area than it would to anywhere that I've been for the most part. Yeah. Like it just, there is a lot of the politics in Portland, Oregon can be very left wing, and there's a lot of just, punkish people around.
Right.
I think I saw more Mohawks in Portland than I did in New York City.
Where did that right wing standoff thing happen? That was like around the time of the release of this film, right?
Right wing standoff.
Oh my gosh! Now I got to figure it out. Where
like in the news?
Yeah. They I think they were connected to that same group that had the plot to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer.
I don't know, but I'd have to imagine it's Idaho, because it's always Idaho and stuff like that.
Was it Idaho? Okay.
Yeah, it's probably because Idaho is filled with, I mean, I'm not disparaging Idaho, but it is filled with Nazis. Like, it is like very friendly to Nazis. Yeah, I mean, it is. They've actually kind of promote it. Like, it's, if you want to be free and be white, you come to Idaho.
Hey, I am disparaging Idaho. Idaho, come at me. Come at Film Trace. We'll take you on.
We got you. I was just
get on our socials.
Beautiful place full of terrible, evil people.
I mean, gorgeous place, but just filled with awful people. I mean, I don't know. I think, I will say this, seeing this movie and knowing people in the DC area, it does feel authentic to that sort of vibe that I've heard stories about.
Sure.
So I feel like there's something there that definitely sticks. One of the initial problems that I have with the movie is kind of surrounding this, not so much the left side, but the right side.
Yeah, go.
This sort of neo-Nazi club that exists.
Cult, drug operation.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It seems a little fantastical. Not that this doesn't happen. Obviously, this happens all over the country, and there's, groups like this wherever. But I don't know. It just felt a little bit too cartoonish. I don't know. Like the red laces, Patrick Stewart showing up. It just felt a little
yeah.
Like it's too organized. Like, I don't think it actually works that way. Like, it's just like this very organized club, and they have these different groups within the club. I don't know. I think they just sell drugs and hurt people.
It's interesting to watch this movie in an era where we know that Nazis exist, but how much proof have we gotten that they're super organized? Right?
Yeah, I mean, there's that.
They're running our world, but also January 6th was a hot mess.
Well, I think that's one of my criticisms is this is coming out in 2016, and so I mean, obviously filmed 2015, so before Trump takes office,
6 months before election day.
Yeah. And I think that that's one of the weird parts about this film is that fascism's not hidden. Mm-hmm. It's not in the shadows. It has been out in the open for a very long time in America. And so that's where I was sort of yeah, I guess this makes sense that this would happen specifically out in Portland area. Yeah, I could see it. But just in general, it's just sort of well, these are kind of cartoon bad guys. These are heavies from a Western. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it felt to me. I don't know, David, if you felt that way at all. What was your feeling on the sort of villainish angle of the neo-Nazis?
Yeah, can we go around and just say if we think fascism is good or bad? Because I'll start and say, this is not for me. I don't know if we need to get that out of the way.
You're brave. You're
Yeah,
so
I don't know
brave.
how you.
If you want to clip that for social media, I'll take it.
Oh my god.
It did feel slightly cartoony to me. And Chris, you touched on this a little bit. Like maybe that's part of what you liked about it. Like it felt like it existed in a heightened reality.
Yeah.
But as someone who I don't respond very well to violence. Like I'm very much like a cover my eyes and ask the person next to me to let me know when it has stopped type thing.
Yeah,
I'm so glad we made you watch
a couple
this
times.
movie.
Yeah.
You know, in watching this movie and Straw Dogs, I was like, oh, thanks, guys. some real easy ones
bill
for
us
me.
for the therapy.
I did like, we were talking about what doesn't work and what does work. And I agree with you, Chris, that I find this very well acted. So especially when Patrick Stewart comes on, I find him and his kind of like calm demeanor very mesmerizing. I do think that like everyone acts this to the best of their ability and to the best of like the content of the script. I don't know. I also never felt like overly scared by any of them, which is maybe a sign that you're not a very good villain.
That piece, and kind of going back to what Dan said too about the cartoonishness, I think you can definitely make that argument both sides. For instance, Patrick Stewart's character, like the dog handler, maybe too. One of the things that I like about rewatching this movie, other than the fact that I'm a sadistic freak that just enjoys watching violence, apparently, is that I have a new like detail I noticed from those side characters, whether it be the two that were planning to leave and bring the evidence supposedly of this bloodied bat to law enforcement, as is implied, but also Mason Blair's character, the door guy who burns his laces, but then decides I don't want to die, so he's not going to do anything when he's power washing the door, and Anton and Imogen sneak out. Is like how much fascism, whether on a small scale or any size scale, is like this fragile house of cards, and how like they want to do everything like to keep things under wraps and to not expose anyone from the inside to the outside world and vice versa. And yet also like Imogen Poots' character literally like says, it's like the classic, like, I'm not racist. I just had this bad thing happen to me by people that happen to be not white. And it's like, oh, when you're actually in the shit and you're faced with like a life or death situation, or you're faced with like a, any kind of, moral boundary pushing, then you're just like, wait a second, what the hell are we doing here? And,
right. Which you can relate to because you were a Vietnam veteran, right?
Exactly. Oh my God. It's
when
just
you were in
like
the
Nam.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Charlie something. I don't know. Did any of that come through for either of you? I know, Dan, you have mentioned that like your opinion of the movie has changed over the years. It's gotten slightly better, right?
Yeah, it definitely has. It's definitely gotten better. I think when I first saw it, I was just very irritated by it. Mm-hmm. Because it felt a little bit of like I should have known because of Blue Ruin a little bit, but it felt a little bit like the A24 switcheroo that they were like very famous for. Yeah, like It Comes at Night. We talked about that this season, where they set it up as this horror movie, and you get in there and it's like, oh, it's this pandemic dystopian, bummer movie.
Right.
And I think like with Green Room, it felt similar. It felt like even the poster is very horror oriented, and it's not a horror movie. Like it's not at all. But it's definitely like a thriller, and there's violence and there's gore, but even the gore is kind of like, I don't know. I think what I enjoyed this time more than the initial watches, because I've watched it like a few times back in the day, just to like kind of see if I had read it wrong or something. And I would say like what I like now is like, the social dynamics in this movie. And you both mentioned this, but I think like Patrick Stewart's phenomenal in it. He's hardly in it, but he owns the movie. every scene he is in, the camera soaks him in.
Or even when he's not on camera, when he's like, she's
outside the door.
Voice.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's
This
like,
situation would be better without guns.
that's exactly. Yeah.
I know that was like a perfect impression.
I think that those elements work. I think the thing that, and maybe the most unsettling part about this, and maybe this is what Saulnier wants to sort of get across, is this unblinking, it's like this despair of violence, how there's nothing. There's no, like, all these characters that you get close to, like, I forget what's her name, maybe from Arrested Development.
Right.
That is her name.
Maybe from Arrested Development.
Maybe from Arrested Development. Let's play this song called Nutsy Pots Fuck Off.
Yeah, exactly. They just disappear. They get shot, or the insider guy who's at the bar and gets shot in the head. And you're just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
I think for me, like, it's too visceral. It's too raw. And this is coming from somebody who's watched I Spit on Your Grave multiple times, or Cannibal Holocaust multiple times.
Oh my gosh. The number of times you bring this up on the podcast.
I'm just saying, Last House on the Left, which we did on the podcast.
Right.
It's perfect. It's a perfect way to talk about Star Dogs, by the way. Is that, like, even with those movies, and Straw Dogs I would throw into this, when you're depicting horrific violence, there is a responsibility to that. Like, unless it's like splatter gore, and that's a very specific genre that you can get away with it, it's like showing that level of violence in that way, and the emotional reactions. Like Anton, I forget his character, but he's basically the protagonist, right? He gets his arm basically like almost cut off, his hand cut off. You see everything. And it's like him screaming in pain and agony. Very accurate. That's how someone would probably scream in that situation. But there's something there where he gives us that. He gives us this visceral, awful, raw violence, and also these incredibly dark, mean, cynical, awful people. And he doesn't really give us any counterbalance. Not that you need to, but I think that's the part of me that it holds me back from connecting with the movie, because it's sort of like, this feels kind of mean-spirited.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, what do you guys? I mean, am I just being too, like, hallelujah Pollyannish over here? Like, we need to join hands and sing about stuff, or like,
when do we do that on the podcast? When do we sing?
Right before trivia to get you hyped up.
Okay, good.
But I don't know. Is that? Did you guys? David, I'm gonna go to you. Like,
right? Yeah. You kind of spoke to this, David. Where like, if you're already a little squeamish, I mean, this is not the movie to watch, probably.
Yeah, how'd you respond to the violence?
But you've rewatched it out of curiosity.
Yeah, well, again, that's because I'm a little slave to popular opinion, and when people tell me that a movie's good, I want to like it because I'm a lemming. That's the problem. No, I agree. I mean, it's a strange thing in that I don't necessarily have this feeling for other components to film, but I do think with violence, because it's so visceral and disturbing, that when it's just presented so bleakly and without a counterbalance, or more important to me, seemingly without any sort of lesson, like, not to say that everything needs to be a parable or something, but I did walk away from this movie thinking, what did I learn? And the answer was not a whole lot. So I generally agree with what you said. Like, it was bleak and bleak and bleak, and then the ending happened, and it didn't even feel like any sort of strong resolution outside of, like, we decided to stop filming the film now.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, is a great reason to stop making a movie, is because you stopped filming.
Yeah, I guess there's nothing else to put here.
Probably ran out of film.
Yeah.
There was a little title card at the end that said, we ran out of film. That's it.
This is the best we got.
To be fair, I once again, maybe I'm gushing a bit, but I think that's one of the things that I like too, is that Saulnier clearly is having some kind of weird, twisted fun. Because I think that there is that, like, dark humor in a lot of this film that I get it can like be not enough, or it's like it's of a similar cynical flavor. But that cut to black at the end, I just love that little interplay. When you have two survivors who don't like each other, and we get teased with the Desert Island Band gag throughout, and Anton never reveals it until he wants to, and the only person around is somebody that doesn't even like him and says, tell somebody who cares, and then it's cut to black and CCR. And so like they did tell somebody who cares, us the viewer, because we've become invested in the protagonist. That feels like enough of a like wink and smile for me to like walk away and like feel like that catharsis was earned.
Yeah.
But
that
I don't
makes
like,
sense. Yeah. I mean, I think that's also the paintball story.
Right. Exactly. I love the monologue with the paintball story.
Yeah. I mean, that definitely, I think that worked way better for me on this later viewing than earlier viewings.
Yeah.
Like,
and
but I
guess
yeah,
that's where I ultimately get the lesson. And because I was going to bring the paintball story up anyways, it's like, that's the center heart of the film, which is an interesting response to Straw Dogs, and how it feels like it's not about like, gender roles and fulfilling this like machismo and like defend your home or your honor or your own life kind of thing, but it's just like literally out of sheer terror and chaos, and then embracing that chaos in order to survive the sheer terror, which I think is a fun riff on the survival story, the siege story. It's also like an interesting response to Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that feels fresh enough to me to like, it felt like a roller coaster, but I do get the suggestion, because it's, I mean, talking about the horseshoe theory, it's like, okay, on the surface, this movie's so anti-fascist, except for the fact that the violence as presented, as bleakly as it is, and as seemingly like out of sadism, kind of like Straw Dogs, which Pauline Kael famously called the first work of American fascist cinema, right?
Which is such a great line.
So I don't know how I reckon with that. Maybe I'm part of the problem.
Maybe I'm part of the.
I'm glad that we finally got you to admit it.
Yeah, this is the whole point of this podcast.
It's an
intervention. Been like 5 years. And then David's
right.
he's in on it.
No more rated R movies for me.
Dead Silence.
Thank you for naming it.
Chris, I like a lot of what you said, and it's one of those things where when I hear it intellectualized, like I understand your through line. It's just on an emotional level, the film just really doesn't scratch that itch. So
yeah.
I like your readings of it. I just the actual piece of art itself just didn't connect in that manner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's as good of a place as any to kind of go along those lines with Straw Dogs. I mean, that was a feel-good movie, at least, right?
Can I quick interject and say that I'm glad I'm getting the real Film Trace experience of hearing Chris's kids just scream in the background?
We'll take care of it in post. We never do.
No, post? What's that? I just tossed this thing up there. Straw Dogs, yeah. I mean, like, whew. Chris, now you're going to have to defend yourself a little bit on this one.
Yeah. I know.
Because you clearly chose Green Room. And then you usually choose the counterpart here. So why did we choose Straw Dogs?
Yeah, there's just like, here's the thing about A24, and I'd imagine we touched on this at some point with the Crazies in the last episode, which was an inspiration to It Chems at Night. There's so much of A24's filmography that is so clearly derived from 70s American Hollywood, like new Hollywood sensibilities, right? So you just keep coming through. Like all the research I did for this season about like what all these, new auteur filmmakers saw as like the greatest films. It's like all, 70s violent, like polemic style movies.
Totally. Yeah.
I know you love the P word, Dan.
What's that? What's the
polemic?
Oh, polemic.
so
I thought it was party.
I thought it was gonna be like pornography. I was like, why do we
Ooh, that one too.
Well, I mean, it could be.
Well, that, I mean, there's a through line to that.
Right. Violence porn, right?
Yeah.
And torture porn. But I was trying to like mix it up and be like, oh, we can't just do a bunch of movies from the 70s and all these 2010s A24 movies. But it just kept coming up so obviously. And I knew I wanted to Green Room. And so it was either then Straw Dogs or Assault on Precinct 13, who both of which Saulnier cites a lot in the press for this movie. And ultimately, like, I was just like, I don't know, we're all about discussion and discourse and fighting, and so it just feels like we had to, like, Straw Dogs is one of the most controversial movies of the 70s, if not of, cinematic history.
Yeah.
So how do we not talk about it? We have to.
Now the question is, I had never seen it before, so this is my first watch.
Whoa.
Yeah, I obviously heard about it a lot, but never seen it before. David, what about you? Have you seen this movie before, or is this a first watch?
This was a rewatch, but I had not seen it in a very long time. Definitely when I first, thought, I shall make this my entire identity, and was just blowing through all like the Kubricks and stuff.
Love it.
I remember getting this recommended to me. So I would have seen it in high school and had very little memory of it, except that Dustin Hoffman was in it and that there was a big fight scene at the end. So it was a bit rougher than I remembered, but I did know it had a reputation of being in that kind of like Clockwork Orange school of filming where there was just like really raw exposed violence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Chris, it sounds like you had seen this before.
Yeah, similar kind of experience. Yeah, high school is just like ripping through all the 70s classics, especially anything that had to do with male rage, and but this is the one that definitely like made me. It's interesting because like Cale can call it a fascist piece of cinema, but it's, I think, to my knowledge, the first movie where like I actually started reflecting on like depictions of violence in movies.
There's no way this movie's fascist. I love her line.
Yeah.
But like, come on, man. Like, this is not, I mean, I'm glad she was saying this in the 70s. Like, the 80s was nothing but fascist movies. All the way through. Like,
I know, E.T., Jesus.
No, the worst. It's about Himmler, right? No, anyways.
It is a great line, and far be it from me to disagree with one of our best, film critics ever. But it does seem like a somewhat surface level reading of what happens in the movie.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, I don't know, like the first hour of this, I was like, really? Like, I can't deal with this.
It's kind of a rough first act.
Yeah. But by the moment it hits the hour mark, and I think it's about 2 hours.
Yeah.
That last hour is, and specifically the last 20 minutes are just, I don't even know what the right word would be for it. It's just visceral. I mean, I want to say this, and maybe this will make me into a psychopath. It's kind of exhilarating.
Yeah.
Like the violence, it's just sort of this moment of explosion. And I, as I was watching it, and I was like, God, this came out in 71. Like I'm thinking of all these other films from the 70s. Did they just like steal this from him, from Sam? Because I'm thinking like The Hills Have Eyes by Wes Craven.
Yeah.
Kind of has a similar transition of the male character into like kind of like meekish, milquetoast, whatever.
Right. Yeah. Good point.
Into this violent killer by the end, and it's sort of like, this is an interesting. It's cool to kind of see maybe one of the earlier incarnations of that. And wow, is it brutal? And I mean. Okay, you have all of that going on, but the gender stuff in this alone, you could write, a 12-volume like book. I mean, it is. I mean, problematic does not really cover it,
right?
And I think that like, I do wonder though. This is why I always get so weird about talking about these movies, because To me, it is so clear why we talk about these movies and why these filmmakers made these movies and why they made them so violent and why they made the sexual violence so explicit. But you try and translate that to other people and people who may not be into art in the same way that you or I or, you know, people that do this sort of stuff are. And you sound like a sicko.
Yeah.
You sound like a nut, like, but it's not, but that's the thing though. It's like this is not exploitative filmmaking, no matter how problematic that it is. And it is 100% problematic.
It's interesting.
It's not really, yeah, go ahead.
Well, we can all agree that it's not, that we disagree with Cale's suggestion that it's fascist, but can we also agree that it's not exploitative? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, David, you take this one. I'll hand this hot potato off to you.
Yeah, it's such a hot potato. The literal hottest potato. Go ahead, David.
Hey, I don't want to touch this controversy with a 12-foot pole. I don't. Well, what exactly do you mean? Like exploitative in what way?
The elephant in the room is the rape scene, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
and so famously.
And by the way, thanks so much for putting me on a podcast where that happens twice. Like, awesome, you guys, good friends.
Yep, I know.
We like to welcome people.
Yeah, we do this to friends, not strangers. You famously, got the X rating, and then they recut it. But then it kind of backfired when they recut it to fit the R rating because it made it less clear that it wasn't invited upon by the victim, right?
Yeah.
No.
And that's just like an interesting bombshell about art on the surface, because then it's like it's not just Peckinpah's movie anymore. It's like kind of some of the authorial tone belongs to the censor, which is another kind of twisted form of irony. And so we are left with kind of this, and I think it's restored, right, for the Criterion release, which is, I believe, like the Janus Films cut, I believe, is restored back to the director's cut. But I think I saw the studio cut back in high school, because I don't, there's no way to know for sure. But it did hit so different, whether it's the 20 years later effect, or if it is like the two different cuts of the film. But like, yeah, what I felt weird about it as a high schooler, but as an adult, and like knowing and having lived through like so many years of conversation about sexual assault in media and in like I'm teaching movies to kids and trying to explain depictions of violence and depictions of sexual violence, maybe not just in movies but also like in a novel that I teach. And you get really stuck on, you get so filled with this idea as a purveyor of art, as a lover of art, that it's never trying to do something bad, that you're always like hoping, you're always assuming good intent on behalf of the author, even though there's tons of authors, and like even many of them have gotten outed over the years. And so like it'd be interesting to think, like, if Sam Peckinpah was working in 2025, what would come out about him? I don't know. Maybe nothing. Yeah. But
that's a good point.
Right?
Can we go around and say what we think of cancel culture? I'll start last.
I want an official,
No, I think I agree with a lot of what you said, Chris. And what's hard for me about the scene here is I think that a lot of what I took from the text is just that human beings are inherently awful, violent creatures, and we respond to violence, and that is the main mode in which we communicate with each other, even when we try not to. And so in a weird way, the like scene kind of works with the text of the movie, but then has a larger impact of like, well, what are other rape scenes like in film, and how much is it playing to like strange, like male dominated ideas of like this awful act. So definitely conflicting feelings on that. And I'll be brave enough to say it made me very sad.
Yeah. I mean,
There's a similar tone, though. Like, there's this like extreme cynicism about human nature in both films.
right.
You know?
So that's the interesting like kind of take is that Saulnier takes that piece from it, but then also is doing it in this storyline centering anti-fascist characters literally against fascists. And
Yeah.
so is that part of the rub for some viewers, whether consciously or not, that it's like this like almost philosophical hypocrisy?
Yeah, I don't know that he's that successful, and this is Jeremy, in that messaging.
But
because
Peckinpah is?
I think they're aiming for two different things, right? Like, I think in Green Room, it's basically just about survival. Mm-hmm. There isn't really an emotional or psychological element at play besides fear and fight or flight, right? That's essentially the core of that movie. Whereas Peckinpah with Straw Dogs, wow, there's a lot going on underneath the surface. The first hour of the film is basically like setting up these psychological dominoes, whether it be around masculinity or sexuality, or machismo or femininity and in-group, out-group. There's a lot going on. And which is kind of like the first hour is a little bit boring because you're just like, ugh, what is this? Like a domestic drama? Yeah. And then it's just like he just hits the dominoes over. And it like, but I in an odd way, I don't know that they're saying something all that different. In the sense that, like, in Green Room, I don't buy that there's actual politics there. I don't see any politics there. I mean, politics are used as, like, a veneer for characterization. There's not a lot going on underneath the surface because he doesn't give us time to. It's a mousetrap movie, you know? It's like boom, 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 boom. That's it. That's the entire movie. It's 90 minutes. Straw Dogs, it's like, yeah, the last 30 minutes of it is like that, but the first hour and a half is all character development. It's all emotional narrative storytelling. So, you know, I think to me personally, Straw Dogs is vastly superior in terms of what it's trying to say and attempting to say through art. Whereas Green Room is a nice, tight thriller. I'll give it that. It's like, oh yeah, that was fine. But it's not even in the same universe as Straw Dogs, where it's, you know, not to say that what Straw Dogs is saying is right or wrong.
You think it's more effective at
way more effective, way more refined, richer storytelling across the board. And, you know, I think the end effect of Green Room is, that's cool that that guy survived and that girl survived, even though she's kind of not a great person, nor is he, I guess, but like, whatever, they're fine. That's cool. Where in Straw Dogs, you're left with, what the hell did I just watch? What do I feel? I feel really weird right now. I don't know how I feel, especially as a man. You're like, I don't know what's going on. And it questions all of these gender and social norms that we have. Even to this day, you watch that movie and it questions all of them. So I think that's like, that to me, it's just like a very different experience where, yeah, I don't know. I think Green Room is, I'm not going to disparage and think it's a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's a fine movie. But it's not really kind of what Straw Dogs is going for, which is entirely different, which is like trying to unearth and comment on these assumptions that we make about ourselves, which I don't think Green Room ever attempts to do. If that's unfair, then so be it, I guess.
No, I think very well said all around. And I agree with your assessment of like, if the first, 80% of Straw Dogs is kind of like setting up this world and the last 20 minutes are the dominoes falling, Green Room has the opposite, where the first 20 minutes is setting up this world and the next 80 minutes is the dominoes falling. I also very much agree with your saying that sort of the facade of Green Room or the set dressing really feels almost like, I don't know, you could put that anywhere and I would have generally the same film. Like you can set that in, I don't know, Maoist China or something, and there'd be almost no difference. So
now I want a Maoist China green room. Thank you.
Guys, we gotta write this.
It's called Rebel Ridge, right, Chris?
Yeah. Although that's the other thing is I do think watching Green Room after having now seen Rebel Ridge is fascinating, and Hold the Dark too. Honestly, even though it's his weakest movie, I don't know. It feels that's what I find fascinating about him as a filmmaker is that it seems like he's just like a genre guy, but it does seem like there is this through line to all his work that feels as much about the human experience as it is about like a political ideology, which I think still feels like true to his roots as a punk, as a leftist punk, which I think is. Especially it feels especially vital in the world, the horrible world we live today. But I mean, I think that's kind of where I'm on the other side of it, where because it feels so like it feels more. It's still got those problems, especially with like depiction of violence and stylization, but it ultimately feels more righteous ultimately, and yeah, I'd say more honest too than
Straw Dogs.
Straw Dogs. Yeah. I know that seems insane because it's like, the modern A24 movie versus the classic 70s from the guy who made The Wild Bunch, but I mean, I do feel like something about Peck and Paw's vibe feels grosser. Feels more insidious.
100%.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
Okay, then that we can agree on at least. But there's something about that makes me unable to click with it, to like really vibe with it, especially older and the world getting more and more horrible. But I don't know. I also understand. I can also see that other side where it's like, maybe he is the more honest one because he was willing to admit his own complicity and just lay it all out there regardless, no filter.
Yeah.
It just sucks that might be the truth.
We should have done Straw Dogs with Men, the Alex Garland movie. That would have been good.
Well, I feel I was going to say it feels like a familiar kind of conversation on this podcast whenever we look at newer movies that maybe are more ideologically in line with us because they live in the world we do.
Yeah,
and that's been kind of the interesting thing to like trace these genres or ideas or settings back through cinema history because it's like, oh yeah, it's always been there. It's like you said about fascism, like it's not. It maybe feels novel to me, but it shouldn't because that is the world that we've been living in, throughout the course of cinematic history.
Yeah, I think the only. Oh, go ahead, David. Go ahead.
Oh, as soon as I wanted to talk, I needed to cough. I don't know, Chris. I feel like the reading of Green Room reminds me of just kind of like even the modern usage of like Nazi punks fuck off, like the song that's prominently featured in that, the song as it was written to my knowledge, it's not necessarily calling out Nazis and authoritarians. It's just talking about, dickheads in music scenes who want to throw each other around. And it's sort of been retrofitted into this anti-fascist mode. And I feel like Green Room almost, although it's so overtly like talking about, neo-Nazis, I feel like had it not come out accidentally, in the time of Donald Trump, I think it'd be a bit more forgotten to memory and we'd see it as just like, that's kind of like a fun place setting. And it's like history has sort of given it this extra definition that it doesn't necessarily deserve at like a textual level.
Oh, no, that's an interesting point. I think that because I didn't see it in the theater when I saw it the first time. I saw it maybe a year later. And so even in that slight delay of like seeing it in theaters in April of 2016 versus seeing it on streaming in like, March of 2017,
Mhm.
That is a distinct difference in and of itself. Not to mention the 20 years that have passed, or 10 years that have passed since then.
Yeah, it's it definitely is. It is kind of fascinating. It came out right before the whole Trump thing, and now we're in it. And like even in the last week, with the political violence that we're seeing now and the reactions on all, I hate saying both sides. There's no two sides. I don't know why I said that. On all sides.
Right. Let's all say the side that's doing it on the count of 3.
Let's make this official.
1, 2, 3 snowflakes.
Yeah. But I think that it's weird because that should make me like Green Room more, because it's like speaking to these things, or
it's
it should
me
be
think you're a fascist, Anna.
But I think that I think one of the things that I could not connect with in that movie was its politics, because despite it being very aware of left versus right, which to be honest with you, most Americans just are not. They have no idea what fascism is and no idea what socialism is. It's not something that's ever been taught for the most part.
I know I don't.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, I don't know. I wish it, I don't know. I think to David's point, like you could have put that movie anywhere and it still would have worked as a nice, tight siege thriller or whatever, survival thriller. The fact that he put it in that, leftist punk versus neo-Nazi, I think it took away from the movie. Like it distracted me into wanting to think that there was something more here when there wasn't.
100%.
And it's like, I don't know. It just felt like a little bit too much on surface level for me. Now, that being said, I don't want to walk away from this conversation and be like, Straw Dogs is an amazing movie. I don't know that it is.
Well, and that was going to be my follow-up is whether or not you think it did something well. Like, are you going to want to revisit it?
That's I think a tough question.
Right?
In the same way that I wouldn't go back and watch a lot of those exploitation films that I've mentioned before. But at the same time, even within those films, I don't know that it's one of the better ones. I don't know that it does the sort of, hey, here's shocking violence, here's sexual violence on screen. I don't know that it comments in a way that is worthy of repeated examination. I think that it's fascinating that he did it. I think that it is interesting, his take on it, and it's worth studying. But I don't know that I could ever go back and watch that movie again, nor probably would I. Just because there's not, to your point, and I think to the point maybe a little bit of Green Room too, there's not a lot redeemable about. It's the same. I haven't watched The Hills Have Eyes again.
Yeah, but you still talk about it.
But I talk about it
a few months. Yeah,
it's one of those things, and I'll probably talk about Straw Dogs probably endlessly.
Yeah,
because it's kind of like Rec Room for a Dream. It's a movie you see, you experience, and it sticks with you no matter what. But it's not something you want to go back to. Yeah. Because once is enough, and it already did the damage that it was going to do on the single watch.
Yeah.
But I think that here's what I will say about it. It is absolutely worthy of study, and especially now for young men who are experiencing a very different world than the world that we grew up in.
You want to show this movie to the incels?
Absolutely a movie that those people need to see. Because it's I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but it's it explores those exact issues that are causing real massive problems on a daily basis for a lot of people.
Interesting.
So it's, I think that it's absolutely worthy to study. But, it's the same thing I think about Last House on the Left. I will never recommend that movie to anybody.
But you made me watch it.
Yeah, but you were studying it. That's different. If you're studying something, it's very different. It's like studying a piece of art, But Straw Dogs, I don't know. David, you're never going to watch this again, David, right? No way.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I took a lot from this film and really liked it. I guess the question is how we mark rewatchability. Am I going to watch it in the same sense that I can get drunk and put on Moneyball any day of the week? No, of course not. But yeah, it's, sometimes the difficult, important works aren't ones you want to revisit a bunch. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, just want to, you know what? I assumed I'd open my mouth and I'd find a good joke, and I couldn't. And that's how it goes. Please, hey, let's keep this part in for sure.
Yeah,
we don't cut.
Yeah.
We don't do any
There's no
post-production.
post. Yeah.
Yeah, it reminds me a little bit of like Antichrist in that when I watched it, I was
yeah.
like, oh, this is a movie I enjoyed and was really good and I will never ever see again because it's just too visceral.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was, I don't know, maybe I'm overly desensitized now, even though I hate violence, because even like, you know, I did not find the violence overly disturbing. It was more like the assault and everything.
It's the violence is cartoonish at the end. Boiling water, like shotgun. It's like,
They start dropping anvils on each other, painting big like holes in mountains that they try to run through.
Slip on the micro
Chris, how about you? Are you rewatching this?
You know, it was a handful of years ago. Redid my movie theater in my basement, and I was just like, I want to get a bunch of Criterions, and it was the Criterion sale, so I could like christen my surround sound and all that, and this was one of the ones I got, and I'm like looking back, you know, 4 years later, being like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I'm never gonna put this disc back in. But the essays and the artwork inside, it's so awesome, and like you said, Dan, like I'm probably gonna read that booklet again, but I'm not gonna watch the stupid movie.
I mean, you don't really need to. I mean, you watch a movie once, you've experienced it, so you don't need to go back to it over and over again unless it's, you know, something you love. But
yeah, Chris, when are you having a family movie night with Straw Dogs?
Get the whole family together.
It's interesting because there's the rape scene in Straw Dogs had to have been influential in when Cronenberg made History of Violence.
Yeah,
and there's a similar scene like that is almost like a comment on the depiction of scenes like that. And then my wife and I, who were just dating at the time when History of Violence came out, and we saw it, and then it like that's the closest we've ever gotten to breaking up.
Amazing
is deconstructing that scene in History of Violence. I'd be like, well, if you'd just seen Straw Dogs, you'd understand. And then like as I'm saying it, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so insufferable. Like,
well, maybe you can get a divorce going. Make her just watch Straw Dogs.
And
make her show her the US cut. Show her the US cut.
Also, in fairness, you shouldn't have said it in that tone. Well, if you had seen Straw Dogs.
Yeah. Well, context is important. Oh my god.
Man. Let's do trivia.
Okay. David, the way this works to wrap up the episode is you have a graphic in front of you of various A24 movies that came out around the same time as Green Room, and I'm going to say a quote by one of those films' directors talking about what movie or movies inspired them to make one of the movies you see in the graphic. So,
okay, quick question. Am I trying to beat Dan, or Dan, are we working together?
No, you're trying to beat me. So, and usually as a guess, I'll give you the first guess.
Okay.
Meanwhile, there's actual violence happening in the living room. That was, that's we planned that for.
And I think that I've seen most of these movies, I feel like.
Yeah, this is the first time. So this is, we keep, as it's interesting, the further we go back with A24, the fewer titles there are to work from, but they become more recognizable because this is, around the time that they really, took a stronghold. This is literally the year when the Oscars started being like, oh yeah, A24 movies.
Moonlight, and their first production wins Best Picture.
Right, yeah. Amazing. What the hell? Okay, so here's the first quote. And David, as the guest, you always get first shot at guessing. But Dan will scoop you and take it if he knows it right away.
Okay, can I trash talk Dan?
Yes,
absolutely.
That's another requirement. You get extra points for that.
Enjoy the competition.
Okay.
Number one, we're going to start easy. Haxon is really cool. There are a lot of things about it that are just great. I think the thing that is most influential about Haxon for me is the casting of the women as figures with enormously evil strength.
All right. I am going to guess that is the Vivivitch.
That's right, the Vivitch.
Nice. I wasn't going to guess that.
Dan, you're going down.
Nice one. Yeah. Robert Eggers. Oh, man.
Wayward man that he is.
Yeah, what's he doing next? I forget.
He's doing Wolfman.
The Wolfman.
Wolfman. The Wolf.
Yeah, I don't know what he's thinking, but apparently
I know. It worked for Lee Winnell, didn't it?
Did it?
No.
Have you guys seen that, by the way? You guys see Wolfman?
No, I can't.
No.
David, it's unbelievably bad.
It's unwatchable, I've heard.
It's literally unwatchable.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyways, moving on.
Number 2. Still pretty easy. Dan, feel free to scoop David. It's a thought.
What the fuck, Chris?
I move the goalposts a lot. It's kind of a thing.
It's part of the rules change constantly. It's part of the fun.
It's a thought-out examination of not just sort of issues surrounding artificial intelligence, but the slightly different way.
That's mine. Come on.
Oh, I didn't know we could interrupt like a
See, I told you
rude
the rules
person.
changed.
God damn it.
Yeah. This is chaos, and I love it. This is why I like Green Room. That's Alex Garland talking about 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Also wayward. Also very wayward.
No, just banger after banger.
What did he last do? Warfare?
Warfare, yeah.
You didn't see that.
No, I saw it in the theater. It was freaking awesome.
You're talking about sickos.
I kind of am.
Fascist movies. There you go. Got one right for you.
It's not fascist if it's neutral.
And you attack me for like in 13 hours. Okay, moving on.
Wait, did you see Warfare?
I've not seen it yet.
Okay.
Of course, I'm not going to see that.
No, I would. It's on Max now. You should watch it so we can talk. Yeah.
Well, I'll check it out.
Number 3. There's a sort of carefree way the characters roam through the world in Altman's California Split that I love. There's a looseness to them, a volatility and an unpredictable nature that the characters have in that era of filmmaking that we really wanted to pay tribute to.
Ooh, I have truly no idea.
You got this. You got this.
Oh,
so you're going to trash talk me? I'm going to positive talk you.
Oh, well, now I feel like it's
I think you got this.
Okay, I'm between 2, and I'm going to take Swiss Army Man.
Dan?
Mississippi Grind.
Yes!
Yeah. California Split was the giveaway.
Yeah.
In fairness, I've never seen this movie. I've never heard of this movie. It looks like Dustin Hoffman's character from Rain Man is throwing the dice.
Yeah,
and the graphics that I'm looking
Ben
at.
Mendelsohn himself.
I know, the actual Rain Man.
I've never seen it either, but I saw the trailer.
Me neither.
Has anybody seen Mississippi Grind? It seems like one of those movies that keeps coming up
Right.
randomly, and no one's ever seen it.
No. Yeah, why am I going to watch it?
Yeah.
Okay. Dan, you're up 2-1. Number 4. I remember going to this very early screening of All the Real Girls. And the very first scene is Paul Schneider and Zooey Deschanel talking, and then they kiss, and there's this Bonnie Prince Billy song playing. And I remember just thinking, motherfucker. And the movie continued and hit all these notes that I had been trying for and I'm trying again with this movie. References, the environment, the world we live in, the conversations we have, whatever.
God, I have no idea. I'm going to say While We're Young. God damn it.
That was actually going to be my guess. The Lobster? Oh, weird.
Now, Chris, we know you know the answer, but do you want to take a guess?
No, I want one of you to guess it correctly.
Dave, you go ahead. You're next.
All right. Let's go with another movie I've never seen, The Sea of Trees.
I didn't even know that movie existed before I put it on the graphic.
Oh, that's a classic. I think I got like a
Really?
star of F. Yeah.
Yeah,
Or something like that.
It's Gus Van Sant, and
Apparently it's horrifically bad.
I need to see it.
End of the tour?
There you go.
Oh, okay.
Nice work, Dan.
I've never seen that either.
Oh,
Nice
yeah.
work
I
by
haven't
guessing
seen
the
most of
one
these
movie we didn't
movies.
guess.
David Foster Wallace movie, shot partially here in Minneapolis.
That's right.
Jesse
Yeah.
Eisenberg, yeah.
Yep.
If you look
yeah.
really closely, you can see me in the background waving at the camera in every shot.
The residuals,
But you got to
are
look
great.
really close. Like, really close.
Yeah, I know. 8K. The final answer, which if you get right, David, as the final answer, then I officially declare you the winner, even though Dan technically beat you. So, for bragging rights,
It's really stacked against me here.
for bragging rights, officially, David, here's number 5. I wanted to make something in a tradition like my version of an adult comedy. When I was growing up in the 80s and starting to become old enough to see movies about adults, Broadcast News was the one. This was made by a studio, and it was also very funny and had broad aspects, but it was super character based. I wanted to do my version of that.
All right. Now, I think this is going to put me at a bit of a disadvantage, but I'm going to once again guess The Witch.
You're
No, is that While We're Young?
that is
Yeah.
yeah.
There we go.
Nice
Also,
one.
I thought that tied us. I don't think Dan gets points for just guessing every movie on the list. This game,
fair.
I got to write into someone.
Yeah, make an FCC complaint to whatever his name is and get us canceled.
Oh my God. Yeah, political violence, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, David, this was so fun, just like I knew it would be. So it wasn't a surprise, but thanks for meeting my expectations.
Oh, yeah. Thanks so much for having me. It was a great reason to watch a movie I didn't care for, and then one with horrific scenes in it. So I'm really glad I could start my Sunday this way.
It's a great Sunday
it's
conversation.
church. Yeah, good church.
What do we got coming up, Chris? What's going on?
Oh my God, we're close to the end, Dan. We have our penultimate episode of the season about Enemy, the Denis Villeneuve film about Jake Gyllenhaal as twins, or not twins, maybe twins. I don't know.
Who knows? Don't no spoilers.
And just because the hits keep coming, we're gonna watch a Polanski movie that inspired it. Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys got to get me back on for that Polanski. You know how I feel about Roman.
And then the finale, I can't wait for the A24 season, is my pick, Spring Breakers from 2013.
Yes.
The movie that kind of started it all for A24. Really put them on the map.
Yeah.
And I
love that movie.
It's a great movie. Cannot wait to talk about that alongside Kids from 1995. Another fun one. As always, thanks for listening. This has been Film Trace.